Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to day two of the Reunion Project Chicago Town Hall. So happy that so many of you are here and so many more are coming. Just to introduce myself, my name is Larry Bryant. I'm the Senior Program Manager with the Reunion Project. I am also a 38-year survivor of HIV. So I'm happy to be amongst so many other survivors and survivor allies, survivor supporters here in Chicago. Love the city. Just wanted to give a few shout outs. First of all, I'm so happy that Ebony Barney has brought her Public Health AmeriCorps volunteers here to help us throughout today. Please give them a hand. So during their service professional development trip to Chicago, they have chosen to come here today to help us with our day and to learn and to connect and to share stories just as we all will. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Um, Thank you, Eddie. Remember, I wanted to remind everyone also about making sure that you have registered. You got your raffle ticket. Amongst the raffle prizes later today will be this kind of home podcast set. So make sure that you're completing your evaluations and you have received your raffle ticket to make sure you get that and other like nice goodie items from the Reunion Project. So and also just I guess you didn't notice the giant cameras in the room. We are live streaming portions of today. So if you are camera shy, just want you to be aware of that. Probably the best idea or advice for that is not come in front of the camera, but otherwise you'll be good and you'll be notified when we're not live streaming. So with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Wahida and Jeff, who will introduce themselves and get the day started. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Larry. Good morning, everybody. Chicago Lane. Y'all showed up. Y'all showed up and showed out up in here. I need y'all to know that. I'm so proud to be here in community with you all today. But I'm going to let Jeff Berry, who's our um, executive director of the Union Project, begin this presentation. Larry put the mic in my hand. He should know better than put a mic in my hand. I'm Wahida Shabazz L. I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been living with the AIDS diagnosis for about 22 years, and I'm the director of community engagement for the Reunion Project. I'm also a founding member of Positive Women's Network, which we call PWN USA. Woohoo!
Thank you, Wahida. Um, Hello, everybody. Good morning again. How you doing? How's everybody doing? How many people were here yesterday? Wow, look at that. How many people are here for the first time? Fantastic. Well, welcome all. So we're really thrilled. We got a really exciting program. Yesterday was a fantastic program. Thank you, National Working Positive Coalition, for all that information about employment and resources for people aging with HIV and living with HIV, considering going back to work. We'll be sending out all that information to registrants. So if you did miss that, look out for that information because that's going to be really useful for folks, and it already has been. So we had also just to let you know, we are welcome to our audience online. We are streaming live here, and the recording will be available afterwards for viewing for folks who want to maybe revisit, or if you haven't seen it and weren't able to attend. So, really thrilled to be here. So, we were founded, the Reunion Project. First of all, I just want to thank our sponsors and supporters, Chicago Department of Public Health. Let's hear it. They made this program possible. Without them, we could not have done this event. And we're really thrilled that we were able to bring the Reunion Project back to Chicago for the third time. We also want to thank Loyola for their gracious donation of this space and been working with us, and it's been really fantastic working with Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. And also the Third Coast Center for AIDS Research. So they are also a sponsor. Let's hear it for CFAR. So thank you for their support of this event. They really made it possible for us to bring in some folks who you'll meet later today. Um, so next slide. So this is you've met Jeff and that's me and Wahida. So Heather, we'd like stand up, Heather and Larry, who are our other the rest of our team, and they work. We all work so hard to make this happen, and they work particularly hard behind the scenes. And so we're really appreciative of all their efforts. And then you'll hear from them again more later today. And then again, next slide, we want to thank our collaborating partner, National Working Positive Coalition, Mark Misrock, whose name is actually no C in Misrock, but we'll get that fixed. Martha Cameron, Sylvester, Heather again, and Vanessa Johnson. Next slide. So who are we? Reunion Project. So we go around the country and we do these town hall events similar to this. We work with local host committee to develop and tailor the program to their own needs. We really don't want to go into a community for 2 days and then leave. We really hope to spark a network of individuals who will continue to work on issues affecting people aging with HIV and long-term survivors. We create a safe space. So that's what we do. We welcome anyone into this and into our fold. And Wahida will talk a little bit about that in a few minutes, but really, it's an opportunity for us to network and to share with each other about things that may be available that we didn't know about, to forge bonds, to really not only bring together individuals, but also organizations. So that's really important in a network of long-term survivors. We also do a series of webinars, and we have a national virtual meeting, which is it's online. It's a webinar, but it's like 3 hours. It's kind of a mini version of this, and it will be on June 11th from 1 to 4 Central. So check it out. You can get that information. We'll be sending that out to you on our list. If you're not on our list already, go to reunionproject.net, and you can sign up. But if you've registered for this, you will be added to our list. Next slide. So we also do a number of other projects. We go to conferences, we do presentations and talks about issues affecting people aging with HIV. We were recently at the American Society on Aging, where we did a plenary session with other organizations like SAGE and a Trans Latina Action, I think was the name of the organization. That's a really unflattering shot there of me, but I was really making a point. But we're really thankful to Gilead. So the Reunion Project is funded through the HIV/AIDS Positively Gilead Initiative, which funds around 23 different organizations around the country doing work around HIV and aging. And we also provide mini grants to local communities. We have another round opening up in a couple of weeks, so keep your eye out for that. This is an opportunity for organizations to do a smaller half-day event based on our model, where we work with the host committee and develop a program for people living and aging with HIV and long-term survivors. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Wahida, the legend.
Thank you. AKA. Thank you. So we want to talk about, I love talking about this because people always ask me, what's a long-term survivor? At the Reunion Project, we have an inclusive definition of long-term survivor. It's pretty much ageless, and it is self-defining, because long-term survivor means a lot of things to a lot of people. It could be people who survived living with HIV for over 10 years. You would be a long-term survivor. I heard somebody say yesterday, I got 5 more years and then I'll be a long-term survivor, right? What about that person who just got diagnosed? Just listen, who in here does not remember the day they got diagnosed with HIV? See no hands. I remember the day, June 11th. I don't remember the time, but I remember it was the longest day of my life. So who's to say that someone who's newly diagnosed is not a long-term survivor? Getting through that day was one of the hardest things I had to do. that person can also self-define as a long-term survivor. Others feel the long-term survivor is shaped by the experiences of living with HIV from a time when there was no treatment, pre-heart, before there was highly active antiretroviral therapy. In the early days, people they do consider themselves as long-term survivors. Others feel that their lived experience as going from a young adult to an older or seasoned adult could define them being a long-term survivor. And also, there are networks of lifetime survivors. Some of us refer to them as dandelions. They refer to themselves as lifetime survivors. Those who have been living with HIV since birth or soon after birth are also long term survivors. And how about our families, our partners, our allies, the people who have gone through this epidemic with us are also survivors. So the Reunion Project's definition of long term survival is inclusive, and which means everybody that's here, you're here because you identify as a long term survivor, and everybody's welcome to be a part of our national alliance of HIV long term survivors. So, welcome to the alliance. Next slide. I'm moving the slide. Are you moving it? I will go to the next slide and just talk a little bit about housekeeping. And yeah, so if you have phones with you, please silence your phone and put it on vibrate. We know things happen. Take the calls in the hall. Let's make this a safe space. Let's make this a brave space. Not just safe, but brave enough for us to say what we really need, what we need to hear, right? What we need to let others know about us. Respect differences of opinion. I like to say Q-tip. Quit taking it personal. Stay hydrated. Where the restrooms are out this door, past the elevators to the right. Stand, stretch, breathe, eat, but most of all, have fun. Thank you so much. Oh, I need to acknowledge the scholars. We actually were, thanks to the Chicago Health Department, we were able to give out some scholarships, which has never happened before. Could those people who receive scholarships, could our scholars stand up and be recognized, please? Yes, look at them. Oh, wow. All of those. Thank you so very much. We honor you. We honor your presence. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Wahida. Um, so next, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, and Michael Dentato is, or Dr. Dentato, I should say, received his BA and Master of Social Work degrees from Fordham University in New York City. He earned his PhD in social work from Loyola University Chicago, examining the impact of minority stress on substance use and sexual risk behavior among gay and bisexual men. Over the years, Dr. Dentato has taught at institutions including Barry University in Miami Shores, Florida, where he was also the BSW program director, the Jane Addams College of Social Work at the University of Illinois. I can't believe I said that. I'm thinking of the musical, okay. Um, the Crown Family School of Social Work Policy and Practice at the University of Chicago, and the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. In addition to his teaching, research, and scholarship interests noted below, Dr. Dentato has over 20 years of, or I think it should be above, has over 20 years of community-based consultant experience, including clinical, administrative, and policy work throughout his tenure in New York City, Miami, and Chicago. And he is the editor of Social Work Practice with the LGBTQ plus community, the intersection of history, health, mental health, and policy factors, which is the second edition of his text published by Oxford University Press. And Michael was we go back a ways, and I'll just say that I've been working with him for many years, and so it's really a privilege to introduce once again and have him say a few words. Please welcome Dr. Dentato.
I actually heard that the musical Illinois is a lot of fun. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Loyola University Chicago. I am thrilled to be here to formally welcome you on behalf of the university and the School of Social Work. And it is truly an honor for our school to host this amazing group once again. I hope that you found your first day together yesterday to be most meaningful and inspirational. I regret not being here as I was at a training with a bunch of behavioral health therapists with CPS. We've had a couple of recent challenges with regard to students overdosing and the ongoing challenges with the fentanyl crisis. So I hope that you found yesterday to be inspirational and filled with amazing memories and great connections as well. There's clearly a lot of work that lies ahead for all of us in the fields of health, behavioral health, and sexual health alike. As a quick aside, in the fall of 1988, I moved to New York City at the age of 18 and found a city literally on fire in the midst of the AIDS crisis, political inaction, activism, and most importantly, a community in need. And soon found my purpose in life. I came out, I fell in love, I lost my first partner, and then I lost my best friend. Sadly, while I lost them, I was also called to action and creating change. I decided to become a social worker and went back to school at Fordham to get my social work degree. Over the years, it's been an honor to serve the HIV community as a clinician running groups for newly diagnosed gay men at the LGBT Center in the Village during the 90s when protease inhibitors first came out. Later serving as executive director for Body Positive, another amazing AIDS organization that is unfortunately long gone. And I worked at Body Positive through 9/11. I then relocated to South Beach and worked on the board of the South Beach AIDS Project, another amazing organization that has since gone. And then relocated to Chicago, where I started working at TPAN and met so many of you, including Jeff. I stand before you today promising that I will never stop advocating for all those living with and affected by HIV and AIDS, which indeed truly remains everyone. I also promise to continue effectively preparing social work, nursing, and medical students in the classroom for practice with the HIV community as well. This photo I took of ACT UP back in 1994 sits proudly in my office as a sign and symbol of the work that never ends and will carry on. Know that your resilience, courage, and life stories continue to inspire each and every one of us. As my best friend living long term with HIV for 25 years recently told me a couple of weekends ago while visiting Chicago, honey, I'm just getting started. Wishing you all a lovely second day ahead, filled with many more memories, new connections, reconnections, and inspirational conversations. And most importantly, know this. Never forget how much each and every one of you is loved. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And next on the agenda, we have our illustrious commissioner in the room, and David Kern started his professional career at the Chicago Department of Public Health in the Office of LGBT Health, and now serves as its Deputy Commissioner for the Syndemic Infectious Disease Bureau. Mr. Kern previously worked as the Director of Prevention with NASTAD of the National Association of State and Territorial AIDS in Washington, D.C., and, well, we just call them NASTAD, and Director for Infectious Disease Prevention with the state of Washington. Mr. Kern serves as board chair of NASTAD, a leading nonpartisan nonprofit association that represents public health officials who administer HIV and hepatitis programs in the U.S., and as a member of the internal advisory board for the Third Coast Center for AIDS Research. And I just wanted to, also just mention that Dave approached us last year, and we started having conversations about what we want to do around HIV and aging in Chicago, and specifically what the CDPH wants to do and what Dave's interest is in. And so we're really excited to welcome him here and to talk about some of that today. Dave?
I love the picture, a little less hair and a lot less weight. So I'm really excited to be here with you today. Um, it feels a lot like a family reunion. There's a lot of love in this room, and I've known many of you for many years, and I'm glad that we're all here sharing space today. It's really important to do that. We've been out of the COVID pandemic for a while, but I feel like we haven't gotten back into this shared space where the power just builds in ways that it can't when you're in two dimensions on a virtual meeting. This conversation is long overdue, and I'm glad that we are having it today. And this is the beginning of a conversation that for some of us, and a continued conversation for many others. I want to thank Jeff and the Reunion Project team for bringing this to Chicago. I want to thank Dr. Keith and Rosa for your work to make a powerful 2-day program, and the Chicago Host Committee for all the work that went into making this a success. And I also want to thank the friends and advocates in the room who have called on us to center long-term survivors and people aging with HIV for a long time. I'm looking at Roy and Michael, Peter, Sanford. Thank you for calling that out. And we are here, we are listening, and we are ready to take action. I have to at least include one data point as a public health professional, just one. So when we look at the number of persons with HIV over the age of 50, we're just under 50% of cases in the Chicagoland area. And we know that that number, thankfully, year over year will continue to increase. So I need to say that CDPH hears you and has prioritized people aging with HIV and long-term survivors as one of our top priorities, not for a year, but through the end of this epidemic. We are certainly a proud sponsor of this town hall. And this is the first of a series of events that will be happening in Chicago and nationally around HIV and aging and long-term survivors. I'm actually headed to DC tomorrow for NASTAD's annual meeting, and we'll be handing the gavel. I've been board chair for NASTAD for the last year, and one of my priorities was centering and recentering key populations, including people aging with HIV and long-term survivors. And I called on NASTAD to convene a national consultation on HIV and aging that will bring together experts from the field and health departments to talk about what we need to do to ready our system for folks as they continue to age and live and thrive with HIV. So that consultation will be happening in July in Denver. More information will be coming out about that over the coming weeks. Locally, we are partnering with several organizations to convene other conversations, including the AIDS Foundation of Chicago, which will be convening a summit, I think, in August, focused on non-clinical providers, where I believe, John, you'll be rolling out some new case management standards focusing on HIV and aging. So that is an important meeting. We will also be working with the Midwest AIDS Training and Education Center to host an event for clinical providers looking at HIV and aging, and specifically dealing with practice, not so much the research side, but how individual clinicians work with individual patients around the circumstances in their lives. We'll be working with the Center for AIDS Research to host a research symposium on HIV and aging. And I'm hoping, working with Mike McGinn and others, bringing some of our policy teams, the Illinois Commission on LGBTQ plus aging, together to think about what policy levers might exist to help us move this work forward, to get things out of our way, to get rid of bad policy and to create good policy at the state and local level. So we want to take the recommendations and solutions that you generate from today's events and these events and really bring them into action. We know that our systems of care, thinking about Ryan White in particular, has wrapped arms around people with HIV for decades and has saved countless lives and has meant so much to so many. But are our systems ready for this wave of individuals who are aging with HIV? Do we have the right interventions and services and programs in place to take care of the unique and changing needs of people as they age? I would argue that we're doing the best job we can, but not good enough, and we need to do more. We also have spotlighted long-term survivors through a film series, documentary series called HIV and the Journey Towards Zero. How many folks have seen one or more parts of it? So there have been two parts. Part one focused on three parts. Part one focused on long-term survivors and featured some folks in this room. The second part focused on the younger generations and what they're experiencing as it relates to HIV in their lives. And part three, which I just saw the final cut of last week, is old school versus new school, or I would say old school and new school, right? And it's an intergenerational conversation between folks who are long-term survivors, who are on the front lines of the epidemic, with the folks who are younger, the legacy of all the work that the long-term survivors have done. And the dialogue is just beautiful, and I look forward to releasing that hopefully in the next couple of months, I would say. So to close, I want Chicago to lead the way in this space in the same way we're leading the way in status neutral approaches, in syndemic frameworks for addressing whole person needs, in housing for individuals who are vulnerable to HIV and use PrEP. We were the first housing program for PrEP users in the country, and our model has been replicated in Washington, D.C., Washington State, and the first jurisdiction to bring together an interconnected hub that creates no wrong door for an individual that has needs, whatever they might be. The hub is available 6 days a week. People can call, people can get assistance, and we're looking to really push that out to other jurisdictions as well. So thank you so much for coming into this space and fellowship today. Thank you for the work that you are doing and will continue to do, and know that CDPH stands here as a partner for now and into the future. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Dave. And now, last but not least, I want to welcome our co-chairs for the Chicago Host Committee, Dr. Keith Green and Rosa Colon Martinez.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to be here this morning after such a wonderful day yesterday. Invigorated, like David said, it's like a family reunion and long overdue. So thank you for being here today. My name is Rosa Martinez Colon, and I'm a founding member of CALOR and currently the Vice President of Housing Strategy for the Center of Housing and Health. I'm also the co-chair of this event with Dr. Keith Green. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Y'all lively today, much more lively than yesterday. It's good to see so many familiar and returning faces. My name is Keith Green. I am one of the co-chairs of the local Chicago Planning Committee. I'm also the executive director for the Chicago Black Gay Men's Caucus and co-chair for the Chicago Methamphetamine Task Force. We want to welcome you all here. Grateful to have everybody here. Rosa wrote me a script because I can go off script, so I'm going to stay on it. It's a pleasure to be here with you all this morning. We're grateful for your participation and hope that you enjoy and find the sessions of this town hall beneficial. I think I just read Rosa's line, but I'll keep going. Today, we gather under the theme of the conference, which is Sharing Wisdom, Sharing Legacies. This theme encapsulates the essence of our discussions and impact we hope to make today and moving forward. So we want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank the Reunion Project and the Chicago Host Committee specifically. We could not have done, we literally were just co-chairs, but it was the work of the committee and the amazing folks at the Reunion Project, Yes. So Diana Beasley, Caprice Carthens, who's in the room, Sanford Gaylord, who's in the room, Rick Wasco, I haven't seen him this morning, Gary Sellers, who's in the room, Reverend Charles Strait, who I think is here, and Sister Ebony Turk. Give the host committee another round of applause.
They already got. They were ready. So thank you again. We have a fantastic uh, uh, schedule for today. So please enjoy all the sessions. And again, thank you for being here with us this morning.
Thank you. And I want to acknowledge our federal partners who just arrived here in the House, and we'll be hearing from them shortly. But right now, I did want to acknowledge our collaborating organizations. So I'm going to give them each an opportunity. Some of them, I think most of them are here, but AIDS Foundation Chicago, Howard Brown Health, Center in Halstead, Chicago House, Chicago Black and Men's Caucus, Vivant Health TPAN, and Legal Counsel for Health Justice. Let's give a big round of applause for all those organizations. We really did a great job in helping to promote this event and help us planning the event. So right now, I do want to bring up, let me put on my glasses. I'm going to bring up, and I'll allow each person to introduce themselves, but from HRSA, I would like to bring up Cheryl Trail.
Good morning. It is great to be with you. Oh my goodness, I love Chicago weather when it's like this. It's just like what sustains us through the other 6 months of terribleness. Yes. So I also want to thank all of these partners. I'm Commander Cheryl Trail. I'm the regional administrator for HRSA. Many of the programs that you'll be talking about today have some support and funding from HRSA. And it's just a real honor to be with you. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my personal journey and how these folks connect to my well-being. So I did my training and became a psychologist here in Chicago. And when you join a uniformed service, you have to get a physical. And I had no health insurance. So where did I get my physical? Howard Brown. That is how I got into the public health service. When I moved to Chicago and knew no one, what did I do? I ran the Chicago AIDS Marathon, met some of the best people in my life. So much of the work that you are all doing here is so, so important. And I'm so thankful for all that you do. So just really quick, I was asked to tell a little bit about how HRSA is investing in older adults. So as many of you know, the Ryan White programs and probably multiple Ryan White grantees in the room here with me this morning. But there is, they're all broken down into parts, but there is a Ryan White Part F. And this Part F spends some dollars in doing strategic projects, special projects. And so one of these projects around national significance is how do we work with older adults? And so there are some grantees around the country, but right here in our backyard, the University of Chicago. I don't know if this grantee's in the room. You could probably talk about your project more than others. But I wanted to let folks know that that program here is at the University of Chicago. And here are some of the things that HRSA's working on as it relates to older adults and HIV. So we're going to work on including existing geriatric assessments to mitigate falls. Now, as I move into middle age, isn't that crazy that we're going to start talking about how do we not slip, trip, and fall? And so, but we are going to work on that and work on how do we help older adults with HIV that are medically fragile, basically. How are we going to increase collaboration with existing geriatric programs so that there's more comprehensive care, so that people aren't falling through the cracks? And how does this demonstration project also help with polypharmacy? So really helping older adults that have other chronic health conditions. And as we get older and start taking more and more medicine, how do we work as teams so that that is more cohesive and comprehensive? So that demonstration project's happening in Part F. We're really happy. On the back table there, I printed off a few things from HRSA also that are some fact sheets and one-pagers and some links to specific recommendations that HRSA and the Ryan White program have specifically around working with older adults. And then the last thing I'd like to share is if you aren't familiar with the uniform or the U.S. Surgeon General, so the U.S. Public Health Service is a uniform service with about 7,000 public health officers. And with that uniform service, we did not have an LGBT advisory group to the Surgeon General due to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And so it is really a pleasure to share with you the commitment of the Surgeon General and the Assistant Secretary of Health and their commitment to supporting not only queer officers, but how all 7,000 officers can be better stewards and better caretakers of the community in all the places that we serve. So again, thank you for being here. So happy to be with you this morning. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Commander Trail. Next up, we'd like to welcome from Third Coast Center for AIDS Research, Rich Tequila. I hope I pronounced that, Rich. I've known you for so many years.
Thank you, Jeff. It's such a pleasure to be here, and thanks, Jeff, for inviting me. I'm representing all of my colleagues who provide HIV care and do HIV research at Northwestern University and the University of Chicago. We participate in a National Institutes of Health funded project called the Third Coast Center for AIDS Research. Jeff is on our community collaboration board. I don't see anyone else in the room, but there are a lot of other community organizations around Chicago represented in our board. And as Jeff heard at that board's last meeting, we're now planning to add the University of Illinois Chicago and Rush University to our project, and that's being planned. We hope it'll be absolutely official in a year, but we're already working together. And this is helping us reach out beyond Northwestern and University of Chicago, not only to those other two universities, but also to the Core Center and to Stroger Hospital. So we're building much more collaborative research across the city and identifying the key things that we need to learn answers to. The first priority we have, which we're going to start rolling out in the coming months, and I look forward to talking with the Reunion Project much more about this, is a priority on understanding accelerated aging in HIV. In general, what's the biology, what's going on in the body that makes that happen, and also how do those processes contribute to specific problems like heart problems or bone problems or kidney problems. We've been doing a lot of that, but now we have some new faculty who are focused on that basic biology, understanding what's really going on. So our goal, it's not going to happen for a while, but our future goal is to be able to understand how to stop that accelerated aging from ever happening. So then we could prevent all these diseases that are so troublesome and lead to polypharmacy. And the second thing we're going to start doing, probably not for a couple of years, because we really want to understand the body's mechanisms of aging better first, but we also think that working harder to get to a cure for HIV could be a big help to stopping the ongoing inflammation in the body, because the virus is still there even when you're on very effective medicines, and the virus keeps poking its head up and the immune system keeps getting stimulated, and we think that contributes to the accelerated aging. And so we're going to be different than any other research group on this around the country. They're all trying to do things to stimulate the virus. We don't want to do that because we think that will worsen all of the problems with accelerated aging. So we're going to figure out an alternative way to do it that will improve the health of people who want to get cured. And so we look forward to partnering with all of you and learning what your priorities are that will help us guide our research.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rich. And now I'd like to welcome to the stage John Peller, CEO of AIDS Foundation Chicago.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Jeff, for your amazing leadership of the Reunion Project. It is phenomenal to have this convening in Chicago. So thank you. And also want to say, of course, a huge thank you to Keith and Rosa for all their work. What Rosa didn't say is that she's now, that Center for Housing and Health, where she's working, is a subsidiary of AIDS Foundation Chicago. So I get to work with Rosa every day, which is truly, truly an honor. And I know that I'm going to learn so much from you. So thank you. Thank you. So AIDS Foundation has worked really hard to center aging in our work. And one piece of that has been bringing people who are aging and living with HIV onto our board of directors. And so not an advisory board, not some other kind of board, but our governing board, the ones who help to select me as president and CEO, the ones who oversee our budget, our strategic plan, and make sure that we're on track as an organization. And those two folks are here today, Caprice and Roy. And thank you for your service. Thank you for keeping me on track. You all know Caprice and Roy, and you know that they are not quiet. And so thank you for making sure that we are doing the hard work of centering HIV and aging. Dave talked about our aging summit, which we're excited about. Thank you. I also want to make sure folks know we have two case managers, Ryan White case managers at AFC, who are focused on aging populations. So their whole caseloads are people who are aging with HIV. And it's been a pilot for us that is now extended into year 2, maybe year 3. But really, we want to look at ways that we can, as more than 50% of our Ryan White case management clients are aging. How can we really focus the resources and training that we need and help case managers to serve their populations better? So excited to continue to roll that out. I want to talk for a moment about Getting to Zero Illinois, which is our the state's plan to end the HIV epidemic by 2030. We're about to roll out what we're calling the 2.0 version of that plan, which will go through 2027. I want to thank Dave and Jorge and CDPH, along with IDPH, for their tremendous leadership and partnership in the Getting to Zero strategy. So many of you in the room have helped us to develop that strategy, including Jill Dispenza and Mike McGinn from IDPH and so many other folks. We have two priorities in the Getting to Zero Illinois plan that are focused on HIV and aging, and I want to share with you what those are. The first is supporting and amplifying collaborations to improve and expand supportive services for people who are living with HIV and aging and who are long-term survivors. So really thinking hard about the services that exist now and how we can improve them and tailor them to better meet the needs of HIV, of people who are aging with HIV. The other is around implementing training for healthcare providers around HIV and aging and managing comorbidities. But what's, I think, also really important and unique about this priority is that we're including and specifically calling out behavioral health and integrating behavioral health and physical health and talking about mental health and substance use services as part of the aging conversation. So I look forward to working with all of you, learning from all of you today. And as so many folks have said, it's so wonderful to see people in person. So thank you.
Thanks, John. And next, I'd like to welcome to the stage Michael Herman from Chicago House. Michael.
Good morning, everyone. Very exciting to be with all of you. Just a little bit about Chicago House. Those of you who don't know, Chicago House has been around nearly 40 years. providing housing for people impacted by HIV and AIDS. We have really been in a regeneration the last few years, recognizing the need for residential housing for people living with HIV, with a particular eye for people who are aging, who may not always be able to live independently. So Chicago House has kind of taken on a growth initiative. We are about preserving residential units of housing for HIV as well as expanding. So we're now building new units of HIV housing in West Englewood. We were just approved by IDA to build 24 new units in East Garfield Park. And we are in the process of acquiring the 66 units that used to be AIDS care, that became Heartland, that were in danger of being lost to the HIV portfolio. So those are all underway. We hope to grow our HIV portfolio to about 150 units of residential housing to go along with our nearly 500 units of scattered site housing. The focus now is also to create metrics. So we are now looking across all of our participants at Chicago House and tracking metrics for aging so that we can be very aware of the needs related to housing. And we are focusing on one of our long-term facilities. We're beginning the process of converting that facility to be what we call our aging in place facility, which will have 12 units of dedicated housing for people to prevent them from having to go into nursing facilities at an earlier age than we would want that to happen. We also realize there's still a ton of discrimination around HIV, and the last thing we want to see is people living with HIV to need to live the last years of their life in a place where they're not welcome and experience discrimination. So Chicago House is about that. Growing our portfolio allows us to continue to expand. One of our particular programs that has 24 units of housing, 75% of people in the building are over the age of 50. And so we're beginning to look across all of our programs. So housing is very, very important to this conversation, and Chicago House will continue to do a work with you all to make sure we're addressing that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Next, I'd like to bring to the stage Arnold April from Howard Brown Health. Arnold?
So Howard Brown has the full alphabet of Ryan White services. We got a big staff, and I really want to talk to several of the people in the room about how we start to develop cross-organization 360-degree services. Almost all the folks that I deal with are very concerned about where they're going to live next. So there's folks who are addressing different aspects of our needs. And we all got to start working together across organizations. It needs to be much more well coordinated. One service that I help provide is we do have twice a month face-to-face support group for people 50 years and older in Chicago area that live with HIV. And this flyer will be at the Gay Men's Caucus table so that you can pick up copies. Okay. Let me honor Dennis Kelly, who is a member of that group. Dennis, will you just stand up for a moment? Thank you.
Thank you, Arnold. And last but not least, I'd like to bring to the stage Carmen Isari from TPAN Vivant Health. Carmen?
I saved the best for right. Hello, everybody. I'm here representing Vibant Health. And just want to talk about a few services we offer over there. We have a group called Positively Aging at TPAN for adults at the age of 50 living with HIV. The program has two components: a support group where participants can share life experience and build a new friendship. The group is led by a therapist and a peer facilitator. And I think that's Miss Judy in the back there. Raise your hand. Yes. Individual therapy and therapists who have years of experience understanding the challenges with older persons living with older persons with HIV and many faces.
I'm a little nervous. This is my first time, y'all. I'm so excited to be here. There's many legends in here. I'm truly grateful. I should really say that. So breathe. All right. There's no cost to enroll in the program. All you have to do is complete an intake. In other news, I want to share T-Pan has merged with Vibin Health. You see the jacket. As a result of the merge, we'll be offering more HIV services at our location in Edgewater. In August, we'll be opening up a new clinic. And over the next 18 months, we also add other services, including a food pantry, dental, and legal aid.
Thank you, Carmen. Let's hear it for Carmen. All right. So next, we're going to have Heather lead us in a grounding exercise. Heather O'Connor.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up today. If you were here yesterday, it's so good to see you again today. If today's your first day, welcome. Thank you so much for sharing space. Today, we were going to have Pilar Audain. She was going to lead our grounding exercise, but unfortunately, she couldn't make it today. If you had the privilege of meeting her yesterday, you'll know that she's a whole vibe and she has a very calming energy. So I'm going to try my very, very best to emulate what she would have done. My name, oh, I was getting there. So my name is Heather Ray O'Connor. I come to this space as a woman living with HIV. The day I was diagnosed with HIV, I thought my life was over. I now am a wife. I'm a mother of 2 kids. Thank you. And I also had the privilege of breastfeeding both of my babies. And yeah, so that's something that's really important to me. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here with me today. So I just want to check in with everyone. I'm going to move throughout the space because I don't like standing still. And I'd like for you to, wherever you are, if it's available to you, find both your feet flat on the ground. And then I'd love, if you would like to, for you to close your eyes. Now, all right, so check it out. We're going to scan our body real quick. Hello, Pilar. Pilar is here today. Awesome. So, still close your eyes while I get her bio. And I just want you to check in with yourself and acknowledge how you're feeling today. Acknowledge if you're holding any tension in your body. Know that all the trauma that we experience in our life can live within our body, and that's okay. And just acknowledge that and let that be. I'm going to read to you while you scan your body and acknowledge all of these things that are living within you, how amazing Pilar is. Pilar Audain is a multifaceted force who has been courageously bringing human souls together in the name of healing for over 30 years. Within communities of color, Pilar embodies the roles of mother, sister, healer, and peacemaker interchangeably. Her spiritual journey began as a dedicated soldier in the United States Navy, where her passion for details, processes, and strategy thrived exponentially. Transitioning to the social service realm following graduate school at the University of Illinois in Springfield and Champaign, Pilar spent 7 impactful years as an infectious disease epidemiologist with the Chicago Department of Public Health. Driven by a deep-seated desire to have a more hands-on healing impact, Pilar embarked on an enchanting entrepreneurial voyage, opening the Creative Soul Boutique in Lakeview in 2007. That successful and celebrated step led to the birth of her nonprofit organization, Wrap Your BUT movement, with a title derived from Pilar's beliefs that stem from her own West Indian roots. When a woman wraps her head with a sacred cloth, not only is she honoring her head and her crown, signifying her connection to the divine, but also she honors her own natural beauty. Now, in its 10th year, WYBM is dedicated to pioneering innovative solutions for addressing violence and trauma on Chicago's South and West Sides, particularly in the wake of the pandemic. Pilar is a wife, mother of 3 adult children, and grandmother of 1. She raised her children in Chicago's Roseland community for 20 years and currently resides in Edgewater, where she provides spiritual coaching in her spare time. Thank you so much. I would love for you to open your eyes now, and I'm going to hand it over to the lovely Pilar.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, I am so glad the Spirit guided me here in this moment and time. I apologize. Am I late? Oh my God. Oh my God. The energy in here feels so good. How's everybody feeling? What an amazing day to be alive, right? The sun is shining, summertime shy is warm. So we're going to take just a few moments and we're going to ground ourselves within ourselves. Because how often do we take time daily to really sit in the gratitude of our existence? If you think about this great big universe, right? And if anybody ever been to the planetarium and see the sky show, and it's really humbling, right? To realize just how tiny we are in the grand scheme of things. But we're tiny, but we're mighty energy forces. So I invite everyone within the sound of my voice, I invite you into a space of gratitude, just for the sake of gratitude. I would love for everyone to just take notice of your physical presence right now and your breath. I invite you to sit comfortably in your seat. Be aware of the fact that your feet are grounded on the floor. Feel your toes within your shoes. Give thanks for those toes. They help you get to and fro. And as you sit, I invite you to either sit in a resting open eye pose or feel free to close your eyes. And I invite you to just follow me for the next few minutes through a chakra cleanse, an energy center cleanse. We're going to go inside of our bodies right now. And I invite each and every one of you to, just for a few moments, release all of the babble and banter of the external world as we center ourselves right here in this moment in time, understanding that there is no coincidence, that all of our stories, our travels have led each and every one of us to this current place, right here, right now. I want you to imagine that by the power vested within each and every one of us as a divine energy center, we have the power to transform this sacred space into a place of love where all of the love that we generate within the space can have a ripple effect far beyond these 4 walls. And that somewhere, someone didn't make it to this room. Someone didn't make it out of their bed. Someone is hurting, full of pain right now. But by our own decree, we can send love out into the world where love is void. Let us sit in that current space of gratitude for the power vested within each and every one of us. If you are alive this morning, and I assume that each and every one of you is, then that means that you have a divine purpose to continue forward, generating love and peace in this earth. So let us just take a deep breath. For many of us, the sound of silence is obsolete in our daily lives. We rarely have moments to just sit in silence. So I want everyone to feel the amazingness of the silence that's in this room. It's so beautiful. And then I want you to just breathe and just focus on your breath. Go inside. Just allow yourself to breathe naturally. And as you're breathing, I want you to take notice of the heart space. Feel your beating heart inside of your chest and give it a word of gratitude. Thank you, heart, for beating so effortlessly. This is our lifeline. And as we feel our beating heart, let us take notice of the blood that's flowing through our veins from the top of our heads to the tip of our toes. And let us give thanks for that internal process. Wow. By no effort of yours, your heart beats faithfully. You can breathe in and out. Your blood flows effortlessly through your veins from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. This is your life force, and give thanks for it. Breathing in and out. And as we breathe, I want you to take notice of the space within your body about 4 fingers beneath the navel, a space called the root chakra. And chakra, by the way, is a Sanskrit word that means wheel. So I want you to imagine that right about 4 fingers below the navel, there is a wheel of light spinning. And this space of light represents our ability to be grounded in the earth. It represents our feelings of protection. I want you to think about how protected you feel, how safe you feel. I want you to think about your sense of belonging within your body and without in the external world. And as you think about your feelings of belonging and safety, I want you to just breathe love into that space. By the power vested within you, I just want you to breathe into the root chakra, supporting your ability to feel safe right now. And I want you to envision that as you breathe in and out, there's a light spinning in that part of your body effortlessly. And as you consider your ability to be safe, to feel protected, to feel grounded, I want you to travel up about 4 fingers to the navel, the sacral chakra, which represents physical pleasure. And I want everyone to think about our ability to satiate ourselves, to do things that make us happy in the physical realm. Good food. I want you to think about your palate and the food that you love. Think about a good deep tissue massage and what it means. How often do you pamper yourselves? How often do you allow yourself to feel good? And as you think about that, I want you to envision that you're breathing love deep into the sacral chakra right at the navel. And then as you breathe in, I want you to breathe in love, but I want you to exhale negativity and things that no longer serve you. And I want you to silently in your mind recommit yourself to the idea of pleasure. Sometimes we deserve pleasure. I believe if you work hard, you play hard. And as that chakra is spinning and we're breathing, I want us to travel just a little bit higher, just below the breastplate, at the top of the stomach, to the solar plexus chakra, which represents our self-esteem, how we see ourselves, and how we show up in the world. Everyone breathing, so naturally enjoying the silence in this room, sitting in gratitude and thinking, who am I? How do you show up in the world? What do you mean to you? Because that dictates what you will mean to the world. Our within certainly influences our without. I want you to breathe in love to yourself. Breathe in love, and I want you to exhale worry and negativity and all those things that don't serve you, and just breathe naturally. And I want you to think about, who am I? How do I love myself? How do I show up in the world? How do I show up for myself every day? And as you think about that, I want you to travel a little bit higher to the heart space. Oh, the heart space. Oh, this space. So overused with good intentions and sometimes with not so good intentions. The heart space. I want everyone to just either physically or in your mind, just hug yourself. Oh, and I want you to think about the heart. Think about the things that you hold dear and that mean so much to you. Think about the love that you hold in your body. Think about the things and the people and the places that you love. And just breathe into the heart. If there's anyone within the sound of my voice that holds aught or anger against any other human, right now, I want you to take this moment and I want you to release it. It has no place within the heart space, within the physical temple. And as we love ourselves right now in this moment with intention and in solidarity, I want you to practice forgiveness. If there's anything keeping you from loving yourself in this moment right now, I charge you to let it go. Breathing in love, exhaling negativity and that which no longer serves you. And just a little bit higher, I want you to travel up to the center of the throat chakra, representing our ability to communicate with one another, to speak that love, all of the love that we generate in our hearts. How often do we share that love? When you walk down the street and you see another human, do you speak? Do you smile? Do you offer good cheer and tidings with no expectation except for to spread that love? I want you to think about how we communicate. Breathing in, exhaling. Then I want you to travel just a little bit higher to the center of the forehead. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Now imagining that all of these chakras are spinning, spinning, spinning. These wheels from the root chakra, spinning on up through the sacral chakra, spinning on up through the solar plexus chakra, spinning on up through the heart chakra, where we're generating so much love and vibrating that right now, on up through the throat chakra, where we communicate that love, landing right here at the third eye chakra, which is our ability to communicate without words. I want everyone to think about thoughts, the thoughts that we allow to manifest in our minds. Thoughts are things. And I want to share with everyone right now to be mindful of the things that we think. We can think healing. We can think prosperity. We can think forgiveness. We can think it first, that it will soon become made manifest. From there, I want us to end right at the top of the head. I want everyone to envision beautiful light at the top of your crown, representing your relationship to the divine. And as we think of all of these energy centers that represent who we are and how we show up in the world every single day, I want us to feel the groundedness. I want us to feel our presence in the earth. And I want you to envision all of the energy within your body shooting up through the crown chakra, connecting you to the divine and ultimately to one another. And as we think about our connection to one another, let us just breathe. If your eyes are closed, you can slowly begin to open them. and just breathe. And as you breathe, I want you to think about the remainder of the day. I want you to consider all of the aspects of human life that we just touched on. Our ability to feel safe, our ability to feel pleasure, our ability to look at ourselves and see how we show up in the world, our ability to love and generate love from within, our ability to communicate that love to one another, our ability to communicate love without words, to discern, to think, to pray. And then let us think about our divine connections to God, to nature, to the earth, and to one another. Together, in closing, let us take a deep breath in, hold it, and slowly exhale. And I bid everyone a beautiful day and week and month.